Hey there, friend. Before I jump into the podcast, I just wanted to let you know that all of the books that I'm mentioning today and sharing with you today can be yours if you join us for our upcoming free 3-day Retailers Refresh Spring Challenge. It's one of my favorite things to do every year is to do a free challenge in the spring, get us reset, refreshed for the coming summer and the rest of the year. And it'd be my pleasure if you join me with that. And it'll also give you a chance to win these books. I will have more information in the show notes on how you can win and later on in the podcast. So I'm excited for you to be here, and I'm going to share some of my favorite books with you today. Reading books can be one of the greatest ways that we can grow our business and tap into the genius of mentors and people that we maybe just can't be around all the time. Books are amazing. How many times have you heard readers are leaders and learners are earners and all of those common kind of quotes and memes that we hear? And it's so true. Getting into book reading every day, getting into the habit of at least 15 minutes a day is all it takes to just open up your mind to new concepts and new things. Even though we might think we know it all, it's important for us to just tap into other people's resources. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite biz books today. And again, you have a chance to win them at the end of the show. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. All right, today I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite things. That sounds really funny. I know many people think they don't have time to read. And as I mentioned in my previous podcast talking about morning routines, and again, a lot of people said that they didn't think they were a morning person, but they tried it and it's working and they're sticking with the habit, or they're trying the habit and it works. 15 minutes a day is one of the things that I recommend just to try. We all have 15 minutes a day before, maybe when you first get up or maybe at night before you go to bed, instead of being on your phone. Grow your mind by learning from other people's wisdom. There's some beautiful business books out there. I think I might have a biz book hoarding problem, but I'm going to just share some of them today. But I really do. I like to pick them up. I like to reread books, and I'm going to share with you some that I've reread a few times. Those are my top books. And, really, it can be a game changer. It's a great way to grow and expand our business and our mind. Business development is one of the things that we have to continue, like personal growth. Personal business development growth is really something that is going to be a game changer. I know we want to talk about marketing. I know we want to talk about business and CEO things, but a true leader, a true visionary, a true CEO running a business needs to keep growing and expanding their thoughts coming from different places. You might not agree with everything you read, but at least it's different concepts and different ideas. And we need to continually do that. We're so busy being busy that occasionally we forget that we should be purposefully and intentionally expanding our brain and expanding our mindset. So I'm going to share some of my books today. And again, these can be game changers. Some of these books have been amazing game changers. For me personally, before I could afford to hire, some bigger coaches, and before I could get into big mentoring programs, I introduced myself to people via their book. I got coached with their books. That happened with several coaches that I ended up working with, but originally I started with some of their books. Or if I can't go to conferences or I can't be around people, reading these books that other mentors have recommended to me have been game changers. And I'm going to share some of those with you today. So let's sit down and grab a pen, and I will have all of these books listed in the show notes for you. And I'm not going to go into details about all the books, but I'll give you the highlights, the highlight reel, so that you can decide for yourself. One little trick that I like to do is grab a book on Kobo or Amazon Kindle, and you can get like a sneak peek of a book if you wanted to see the Kindle version, the ebooks of it. And you can get a sneak peek of some of these books to see if they resonate with you and see if you like them, and then you can buy it. The other thing with getting an ebook or a digital book, if that's your thing, I actually like paper books, but sometimes I get the digital version first or the audiobook first, and then I like to be able to highlight, like you can highlight and everything in some of these Kobo or however you're digitally reading books. So it doesn't have to be complicated, and the sneak peek is really helpful. A fellow biz owner, shout out to my friend Richard, who mentioned that to me once. It's been a game changer for me in just dipping my toes in some business books instead of, feeding my hoarding habit of books. Okay, let's jump into it. Also, again, remember, we have a chance for you to win. If you're listening to this in March of 2022, we have our Spring Refresh Challenge coming up. It's a 3-day free challenge. And for 3 days, we do a live coaching session. I'll be doing a live coaching session to help you reset and refresh for the spring, your shop and your mindset and your money, the whole thing. And if you register for the challenge and join us and participate in the challenge, you will have a chance to win all of these books. And more details will be in the show notes on how to do that. And actually, once you register for the challenge starts March 28th, 2022, in case you're listening to this in another year. Hello. And the winners will be announced on April 1st, 2022. So good luck. I hope you can all join us for the challenge. And again, it's something that's really fun. I think this is our 4th year doing the Spring Refresh Challenge, and we always have so much fun and lots of energy. And sometimes we need that, right? Sometimes we just need some pep in our step and some refresh in and around our business. Okay, gonna jump into it, friends. Let's go. One of the first books on my list is one I read every year. Sometimes more than once, like I'll pick it up, but I definitely read it every December, January, when I'm refreshing my goals and all the things, right? And that is The One Thing. The One Thing is by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, and I absolutely love this. I give this book away as gifts regularly to business owner friends, and it's really it's just this, what the title says. It's the one thing. It really helps me decide what's important. So it's a super simple. They describe it as a super simple way to approach business and know what's important and what matters. And that is exactly what I love about it. It's a easy read too. It's not a heavy business read. And I think almost all of the books that I've put on here are easier reads because life, right? I am a quick 15-minute a day, sometimes a little bit longer reader. So I try to get into books that are easy to swallow and easy to understand. So The One Thing is one of my number one most favorite top choices if I had to pick a favorite right now. Another book that I love, and this is a newer book, and so the rest of them are in no particular order, but this is a newer book that I just started reading, but not from an author that I'm unfamiliar with, and that is Sell the Way You Buy. It's not a new book. It's a new book for me. I just haven't gotten into it. And it's really not just about like getting into your customers' shoes and, understanding it from their point of view. It's a little bit more. It's deeper than that. It's more really being more authentic about how we're selling to our customers and asking better questions to our clients and listening and really understanding our brand story and what we're trying to put out to the world and how that works with our customer. And I really enjoy a lot of the different things that I've learned about a David Premier. And again, Sell the Way You Buy. I'm really enjoying that. So number 3 on my list is Superfans by Pat Flynn. Now, members of my Retailers Inner Circle will know I talk about this book. We had it as a book club selection one month, and it's all about building fandom. I don't know if that's the right word. Fandom, I'm maybe making that up. I don't even know if that's the right word, but building really strong brand that your customers just love and they're excited for everything you do. And I will tell you that during the pandemic, during all these last couple of years of craziness, I have been so excited to watch so many of my inner circle members and so many of my private clients, just building up this fandom base. They're super fans, people that are just rallying behind them. And even coming out of this, even, wherever we are at this stage, seeing customers remain loyal and just really excited and celebrating our businesses. And it's been so exciting to see that. I actually love the audiobook from Superfans. I have the audio, I listen to the audiobook, but I have the hardcover book because I like to tab all my books and all that kind of thing. And it's one of my books that's like dog-eared and has lots of sticky notes in it. So I love the book, but I love listening to Pat Flynn. He has an amazing podcast as well too. So that's my number 3. I love Superfans. Number 4 is by another favorite author that I actually really love all of his books, and it's Get Different by Mike Michalowicz. So it's one of Mike's newest books in his business phenomenon. I don't know, empire, business book empire. Mike thinks differently. He's the one who wrote Profits First. He's got so many other books. I'm a big fan of his business everything. I don't even know what you would call it, his business empire, and how he thinks about business for independent retailers, independent business owners, and self-employed business owners. He's, a real fan of the small guy, and that's, what most of us are, right? So Get Different is really about standing out and getting noticed and not like following and doing everything that everybody else is doing. I had the privilege of being in a couple of more private Zoom meetings and sessions with Mike Michalowicz, and he was talking about this book, Get Different, and I was able to ask some questions, and I'm just a really big fan of the principles of this book. And it's so we don't feel invisible is I think part of like one of the things he says regularly about it. We want to be noticed, and I feel this most of the clients I work with, we're different. We're different in that we're just not trying to be like every retail store everywhere's. It's not, we're trying to do different things. We're specialty retail stores. We're independent. We're creative. We're, running passion, heart-filled retail businesses. How do we stand out? How do we share that message? How do we do things differently? Still using business principles, but just being different and getting people's attention and getting noticed in all of the right, beautiful ways. So I love this book. I love the concept of it. And I like, one of the things I always say is like, be remarkable and rememberable. And this book sort of helps along with that. And again, kind of feeds up to that super fans and building that loyal brand by being a little bit different. And I love the whole concept. It doesn't mean like, wearing crazy pants and doing weirdo things. I mean, there's just lots of cool things that we can do. And I already see retailers doing. So it's a really great reinforcement of a lot of things that I see my clients, my inner circle members doing, my mastermind members doing, and my private clients. So it's a really great read, and I love it. Okay, the next one is from one of my coaches, The Self-Employed Life by Jeffrey Shaw. I've had the privilege of being coached by Jeff for quite some time. And it started with his first book called Lingo, which I would put on this list too if it wasn't so many books. But The Self-Employed Life is his newest book. And, he has a great podcast. His book, the other book, Lingo, was one of my favorite ways to sort of get into his world. And I started following his podcast and then started coaching. But it's all about understanding the mindset of being self-employed, because man, we're different, right? we have a whole different kettle of fish when you're self-employed, and how you can empower yourself and the things that we need to do for marketing and mindset, all with like real true integrity and authenticity. we don't have to do all the things. Again, kind of see a theme here. We don't have to be all things, and we don't have to do all things to run thriving, beautiful businesses for our amazing clients. So I love this book, and I pull it out. It's actually sitting on my desk right now as I'm talking to you. I pull it out regularly. There's beautiful quotes in it. And Jeffrey Shaw's podcast, The SelfEmployed Life, is actually a really great podcast as well, you may love. Okay, next book up. A new book for me, again, sort of like Sell the Way You Buy, a book that I'm just getting into, but I love it so much. I wanted to put it on this list. And I also am a big fan of the author. And the new book that I'm reading is called I'll Be Back by Shep Hyken. So he is amazing. If you do not follow him, I highly recommend just stepping into his world a little bit as well too. And it's all about excelling at customer experience. Y'all know I talk a lot about customers' experiences, and especially going into 2022 and what people are expecting. And I really love the whole concept of the book, I'll Be Back. So it's a really great book. I'm not all the way through it, but I'm loving it so far. He has another book that's really funny called not funny, but I loved the title. It piqued my interest a while ago, and it's called Be Amazing or Go Home, which is about training your staff and asking your staff to be amazing or go home. So kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of fun, right? Anyhow, okay, last on my list is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is another Bible on my desk. I love Atomic Habits so much. I mean, I don't read a lot of books 2 or 3 times. Atomic Habits is one that I do read a lot, and it's dog-eared and underlined and highlighted, and I pull it out regularly. It's about small habits that compound. So learning to do little things, knowing that each little step compounds and progress can happen. And to me, that is so magical because I see, we want things or we see things and then they just seem out of the scope of possibilities maybe. And just small, tiny habits done over time can really compound. The opposite is true. And I learned, this is a big part of this book that I learned. Bad habits compound too. Bad habits compound too. So when I read that in this book, and, he explains what that means, but really, if you're doing negative things or you're, again, maybe not paying attention to your numbers, let's throw that one out there because Wendy talks about that a lot too, that compounds and all of a sudden you don't have a business. There's things that happen. If you eat poorly every day, that compounds and then you're overweight and out of shape and unhealthy and life is not good. And it doesn't happen overnight, right? The same with success. Doesn't happen overnight. Little tiny amazing things, little good habits compound over time, result in greatness. And I love this book for that message, but I love all the other practical things in the book as well too. So there you go. There's my books. So the one thing, Sell the Way You Buy, Superfans, Get Different, The SelfEmployed Life, I'll Be Back, and Atomic Habits. Those are my picks for top books. I could go on for another hour, but we're trying to keep the podcast to like a normal amount of time for you. So I hope you found those valuable. Somebody is going to win the entire book package and a surprise from me. I'm going to be sending those all off to somebody during our challenge. So the 3-day Retailers Refresh Challenge, which starts on March 28th. If you join us for the challenge, you will have a chance to win. And there's, just posting and joining us for the challenge is going to help you enter to win. And we will be doing the draw on April 1st, 2022. And I really hope that you'll join us for the challenge. You can register for the challenge at wendybatten.com. That's BATTEN/challenge. I got to remember sometimes. Thank you for your patience. Sometimes I forget. So it's wendybatten.com/challenge. And you can join us for our 3 days starting March 28th. But the doors are open now to register and we'll send you email reminders. And let you know when we're, going live and the whole schedule and all that kind of thing. You don't have to join me live. I know how busy your life is. We will just ask you to kind of participate during that week so that we can help you get ramped up and geared up and reset and refreshed for spring. So you don't have to join us live. You just have to join the challenge, and then you can watch the videos later. They're all recorded. There's lots of replays, that kind of thing, which is one of my number one questions. People say, do I have to join you live? I would love, love, love for you to join me live, but my friend, I understand life is busy. So I hope you'll join us during the challenge. By participating in the challenge, you will be entered to win the books. So those will all be available. I hope you found this list helpful. And even if you just take one book out of here, one little nugget, I certainly would not expect anybody to read them all, but you can come back to this podcast or come back to your list and look at it, and hopefully you'll find it helpful. Okay, my friends, have a super fantastic, amazing week. Lots going on. The world can feel really heavy sometimes. And, I'm just so glad that we had to spend some time together. I appreciate your time and attention today, and we'll see you next week. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. Make sure you join our Rockstar Creatives Facebook group. We will continue the conversation over there weekly. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.